another webinar here from Shweiki Media, and we're so thrilled to have all of you as partners of the company. On behalf of my company, Brain Swell Media, I'm equally thrilled to be partnered with Shweiki in educational learning webinars because it's so important for you as publishers and sales managers and business owners to continue to expand your education, to grow your businesses, and to grow your sales teams, and ultimately, of course, to grow revenue as well. All right, today we're going to be talking about tablets. It's a huge topic of conversation and one that actually is really at the forefront of even my family here inside my own home. And I think the reason that it is a critical conversation for us to have is because I'm seeing so many publishers make some of the same mistakes they made with the web in regards to tablets. And I just want to scream out, stop, from a sales perspective, from an organizational perspective, from an editorial perspective. Stop checking your email and listen carefully to this webinar. It's not that what I'm saying is correct, which it is, by the way. It's that the conversation needs to be had and the conversation needs to be correct. Let me give you a concrete, surefire example. Does a salesperson watching this webinar, a publisher, or a business owner, you want to ask this question of your 13-year-old son or daughter at home. I said to my son Dylan, Dylan, what is, out of curiosity, what is your favorite magazine? And he said, Sports Illustrated for Kids. And I found that really interesting because my son has never received a subscription, a printed magazine subscription to Sports Illustrated for Kids, ever. He has it on his Nook. Now remember the question I asked him, what is your favorite magazine? A shift occurring faster than I ever thought it would happen before. You've got to remember something. I'm not here today to tell you that the printed word is going away in any way, shape, or form. What I'm here today to tell you is that there's been a psychological shift as our children grow up and as we structure our businesses for future success, that we have to pay attention to what's happening in the tablet space, the Nooks, the Kindles of the world, the iPads, etc. We have to pay attention and make sure that our salespeople and our editorial team are adequately equipped to make sure that our businesses continue to grow. Because I never imagined that it happened like this. I really never thought, as just an adult, as a human, as a person in the media business, I never really thought that people were going to use tablets in such a tactile way. I just really felt that they wouldn't do it. And what we're seeing, I'm going to share some statistics with you today, is that tablets need to be an integral part of your magazine business. Now, what did we learn from giving the web away? See, some of you will still continue to give the web away today. What did we learn from that? We learned that when you give something away for free, it's difficult to charge for it down the road. You actually put together some business models where this actually made sense. Actually, you actually were selling the web. You just weren't giving the web any credit. Let me give you an example. I have many publishers that what they did is they actually would go to an advertiser. Let's just say the advertiser's name is Bob, and they'd say, Bob, if you buy a print ad from us, and then to secure the deal, we'll give you the internet for free, a banner ad on the website for free. Well, what you did is you actually said to Bob, the web has value, you just never charged him for it. Well, the thing we need to remember is so many publishers struggled. I mean, just really struggled with this model, and then they'd call on guys like me, internet consultants, revenue consultants like me, and say, oh my gosh, Ryan, can you fix this problem? Today, we're at the forefront of new technology, and I'm here to tell you, learn from what you lost when it came to the internet, and make sure that you adequately train your sales team to structure the conversations in such a way that we're not talking about digital editions. We're not talking about anything like that. What we're talking about is a magazine in electronic format. Now, let's remember something. As salespeople, as business owners, as publishers, it's really important for all of us to equally recognize that there are many people like myself, like thousands of people that love the printed word. And I'm going to share with you here in a second that the double-digit percentage is still fairly low, but it's growing ready for tablet use. So let's not forget that we do have a magazine. But what does the magazine look like on a tablet? See, remember, a lot of people felt that the Internet would put magazines out of business. These are the people, or some same-minded people, that actually said that television was going to put radio out of business. The satellite or cable was going to put local broadcasters out of business. I don't know about you, but when I get in my car, I still have the radio. I also have satellite radio. I watch local TV on my cable network. So what I'm trying to say to you is that there is a really awesome coexistence that is taking place and is growing across the country. But what we have to do is make sure that we understand that we shape the conversations not to be print and digital magazines or subscribers or readers, because there's no proof to tell us that reads our magazine or our publication on a tablet is better reader or a lesser reader than the person that reads it in actually the printed word. Now, we need to retrain our entire thought process. All of our sales reps, our staff, ourselves, we all have to start thinking about this in a lot higher level of way. If you're on a sales call, if you're a salesperson, you're on a sales call, and you're talking about, you get an ad in the magazine, and you also get an ad in our digital edition. If you don't charge for the ad in the digital edition, then what is it that you're telling your advertiser? What are you, you're saying to them that it's charge. And one of the things that we really have to caution against, and it's really, really important, is that we actually fight that. We never, ever want to give the perception that they are in the digital edition free of charge. Instead, we want to begin training advertisers now to accurately understand that when they're in the magazine, they are in the digital edition, they're in the printed word, and because of that, we charge them X amount of dollars. Now, what we want to understand is that you might think to yourself, well, Ryan, I'm giving them additional exposure. We can't go there yet because we're not trained ourselves. Instead, what we need to do is understand the statistics and understand this, that we have readers there. So what may not be charging them for it at this time, we are charging them for it because the magazine, in most cases, is replicated on a tablet. It's the same thing. So what we have to do now, and we have to begin each and every day of understanding and expressing to our sales staff, to our editorial team, if we have readers on the tablet, and if you don't have a tablet version, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but we have to make sure that we never, ever are giving the impression to an advertiser that they get a tablet edition for free. The moment we do that is the moment that we fall back and we don't accurately understand what happened in the past when we did that in regards to the Internet. Now, let's keep rolling forward. All the statistics that I'm going to share with you today, which I think are phenomenal statistics, come from HubSpot.com. Have you been there? HubSpot.com is a really, really great resource, and the stats that I have, some are from 2010, 2011, and some from 2012, but I'd make a note of HubSpot.com. Now, 11% of adults, okay, these are all U.S.-based stats, 11% of adults already own a tablet of sign. So what might it be? It might be the BlackBerry's tablet. It might be the Samsung Galaxy. It might be an iPad. It might be a Kindle. It might be a Nook. Do you understand how your business will operate on all of those devices? Oh, gosh, is your brain beginning to swell? People ask me, hey, Ryan, where did the name of your company come from? I was actually in San Diego at a conference, and I said, if I ever start my own company, this was many years ago, I'm going to call it Brain Swell Media because as I look out across this group of publishers, it looks like all of your heads are about to explode. Well, don't get too lost in the details here, guys. It's about having a conversation about tablet use and how it applies to your consumer market or to your B2B market. But it's important for all of us to recognize 11% of adults already own some type of a tablet. 11%. Do you know it was that high? Are you as a salesperson or as a sales manager comfortable with that number? Do you know how many of your readers actually own a tablet? Regardless, guys, regardless what it is that you have in front of you, what is it that your readers are using to access your website, to access maybe some apps that you have, to read your digital edition that you currently have? We really need to know those numbers. So I was really surprised to find out in one of the last reader surveys that I looked at for one of my actually pretty large publishing customers that I work with on a monthly basis, that they didn't have any tablet-based questions on their 2012 reader survey. So that might be your big takeaway from this. It might be that, hey, I need to have some tablet questions on my survey for 2012. Now, something else you may want to ask is, the person that's taking the readership survey, how often do you access our website? Do you use a tablet? What type of tablet is it? Because as you're going to learn later on, each tablet operates in a different and unique way. Did you know, again from HubSpot, that almost half of tablet users get news on the tablet every single day? So what does this mean as publishers, as business owners in this publishing space? What this means overall is that we have people that are developing new habits. Remember, habits are the easiest thing to make, and they are the hardest things to break. When we see people beginning to form new habits, are your readers forming new habits? What's interesting to me is the number of people that I meet that actually pick up a magazine, an actually physically printed magazine in a store, or they actually get a subscription. But a lot of times when they go on vacation or they go on business travel, they actually also look at their subscription on their tablet. Now, you might find that to be a little counterintuitive, but it's really interesting to me to see, even within my own family, how magazines are consumed. For example, my wife is more of a tactile person. She actually likes to flip the pages and physically hold the magazine. I do as well, but there are a few magazines that I get on my tablet only. My children, 10 and 13, they get all of their magazines on their Nook, and the Nook is the device that's from Barnes & Noble. As we look at habits, we need to accurately understand that new adults and adults across the country are forming new habits, and you as a magazine publisher want to be a part of that habit. Here's the thing to remember. If you don't, someone will. And that could be your competitor. It could be two guys in a garage. It could be your local newspaper, your local radio station, your local cable provider. And this is one of the reasons that a lot of city and regional magazines are beginning to be dwarfed by national competitors, because they haven't embraced tablets to strengthen their readership. See, the print readership is so rock solid in most cases. If it's not, ask for help. The tablet readership can really help solidify that readership all across the board because of the margins. Another statistic for you that's so important, and I think it's great for us to talk about, tablet owners spend an average of 90 minutes on those tablets per day. 90 minutes. You know, here's something kind of cool about tablets, and it's the fact that we're able to accurately track reader activity. It's one of the things that's been missing overall from our business models in the past, is that it's very difficult for us, beyond the distribution or circulation, a little bit on pass-along, pass-through. It's been difficult for us to gauge exact activity of our for our advertisers, of our readers for our advertisers. Not so with tablets. We're actually able to see what stories they're spending time on, what ads they're clicking on. Are they watching videos in those ads? And it gives another dynamic to the entire puzzle. It gives an overall feeling of return on investment that we often can't find in traditional fiber magazines. Now, I think it's important for us to pause for a second and really understand that we truly have to blend those statistics. And I'm really, a print guy at heart, because that's where my career began. But it's important for us to understand that if we push on the tablet side too hard, then it offsets or it makes the actual printed word look bad. Now remember, we only have 11% of all adults at this time actually on tablets. So that means that our print readership is our bread and butter and is very, very strong, and thus should be really important to us. So ask training our salespeople, as I'm going on site with publishers for a day or a day and a half of sales training, I typically spend half the day talking to the publisher, sales manager, ad director, etc., and then I spend an entire day working with salespeople specifically on these enterprises and understanding. We have to show a perfect blend. We have to show how important the printed word is. We have to show how important tablets are, how important the web is. If you go back to the beginning of our conversation here 15 minutes ago, I mentioned that a lot of people said the Internet would replace magazines. We have accurately learned, and what we accurately now understand, is that people use the web and experience the web in a uniquely different way than a tablet. And I've got some statistics to actually back that up here in just a second. Here's an interesting fact, from HubSpot. Tablet news users say they prefer tablets over traditional computers, print publications, or television as a way to get quick news headlines and to read long-form pieces. Now, those of you that have heard me speak before at conferences or here on webinars just like this, it's important for you to remember something. We learned very early on that web users actually did not spend more than about 30 to 45 seconds on a particular page. They actually were not reading long-form articles on the Internet. And so because of that, we knew that the magazine business would continue to be very strong because of the really excellent content in the magazines. Down the road, no matter what happens to your printed publication, when it comes to magazines on a tablet, it's still going to need great graphic design, it's still going to need really quality content, and it's still going to need advertising. Now, I think that the replacement of the printed word is a very, very long way off because we have so many people, and we've got easily, into my lifetime alone, between the age of 40 and when I go to meet my maker, we've got a long period of time. So the interesting thing is we are in a period of transition, but the nice thing is you may think it's happening fast and furious. The transition is actually happening at a fairly regulated pace. So it gives us the opportunity to create better pricing structures and educate our staffs in such a way that we can really make this a really unique, valuable proposition for advertisers. Tablets are uniquely different than what we experienced with the Internet. See, two guys in a garage cannot necessarily throw up a tablet version of a magazine. It's not that they can't, but it's very unlikely. When it came to the Internet, it was a lot more reasonable that two guys or two gals in a garage could actually put up a competitor to your website. Because the tablet version is typically an enhanced reproduction of what you send to the printer, what that means is it's a lot harder for a competitor just to pop up and replace you when it comes to the tableted version. Remember something, though. If we look at what tablet users are saying, they actually prefer the tablet over traditional computers, which tells me that we actually might see this: web use decline, Internet use decline, the tableted versions of these magazines. They can find the same information on the tablet. Now, 40% of tablet news users say they get their news mainly through a tablet web browser compared to a news app. Now, the reason I bring this statistic up is because as we talk about tablets, many times publishers will say to me, well, Ryan, I think we need an app. Now, there's a lot of technology surrounding an app, and there's a lot of cost surrounding an app. So let's ask you a couple of things, and I'll try to be really slow to make sure that I don't lose anybody in conversation. But before I begin, first, let me tell you this. There are things that publishers are very, very good at. One of the things is not keeping up with technology. And so it's very possible that you actually need to hire or employ a digital or interactive consultant to help you, because there are literally hundreds of software solutions out there to put your magazine into the tablet space. Now, when it comes to areas like the Apple iStore or the newsstand, that actually is an app. But it doesn't mean that you have to build a physical app in the sense that you would if you were building something for like QuickBooks or Quicken or some big, really big, hard to wrangle app. There are providers that will help you take your printed magazine and actually make it into an Apple authorized app. What this statistic is saying, though, is that 40% of tablet news users are actually using, for example, on the iPad, they're actually using their Safari browser. For example, on the Kindle, or on the Kindle, they use the Android Gingerbread operating system, I believe, and so it's going to have the Android web browser. And so what's happening is that you actually have to stop and make sure that all of your enterprises, your multimedia enterprises, albeit your website, it might be your tablet version of your magazine through your provider, the way your banner ads are being served, your videos, you actually need to have at least one of each device in your office if you really want to make sure that everything's working correctly. So too often, people will grab their iPhone and they say, oh, if it works on the iPhone, it'll work on the iPad. Not necessarily the case. The Apple, it's called an iOS. This is an iOS device. It's not necessarily the case. In most cases, that's true, but not necessarily the case. Because we have this statistic to prove to us that 40% of tablet news users are using their browser, it tells me that we don't necessarily have to have an app to be successful. But we do need to find a cross-platform, or if you will, not platform agnostic, that's not really the right word. We find somebody that can create our digital version of the magazine in a cross-platform way. 23% tablet news users get digital access of some kind through a print newspaper or magazine subscription. See this, because what I'm finding is that a lot of people actually pay for their printed subscription and then will also pay for premium access via the tablet. Now, actually structure this. I think one of the best examples is Bill O'Reilly that's on Fox News. He's got sort of your general access to his website. You've got basic access, like access, and then premium access. Well, a premium subscriber, and this is a model that most publishers do not deploy, and it's just leaving money on the table. A premium subscription, if you are a subscription-based magazine, might entitle them to a tablet subscription, premium access to archives on the website, white papers, whatever it is. So I would really encourage you to think about it in 2013 as you prepare as we go through the summer of 2012 and look towards the fall to begin about what are you going to do in terms of premium access to your content. Now, you're a content aggregator, and so it's so important. Now, what about you watching the webinar today that work for free publications, free distribution publications? I still think that there is a ton for us to understand in terms of how is it that people are consuming our content. And from a free perspective, I think there's all kinds of opportunities for you to be able to reach beyond your geographic region. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite customers currently serves the Baton Rouge area. They actually don't distribute their free pub. They don't actually distribute beyond the Baton Rouge marketplace very far. So they have some folks, though, that are an hour and a half away that would be perfect readers for the printed printed publication, but they just don't distribute that far away. So by making a tablet version available, they not only serve the main readers of Baton Rouge, but they also can service people in outlying counties where they actually don't have a printed version available to them. And that's one of the things that's real important. I know that there's some other magazines that have international subscriptions that have switched all over to tablets or web-based versions for pay, for a fee, and it has really, really helped them service their customers internationally in a very, very dramatic way. 9% of tablet news users say the tablet replaces what they used to get from print newspaper or a magazine. That's very, very interesting to me. Nearly 9 in 10, almost 88% of those who read long articles in the last 7 days ended up reading articles that were not initially seeking out. And what this tells me is that the tablet device or the tablet interface actually allows people to browse our content in a much bigger and a much more robust way. Now, those of you that are salespeople watching today, all of these statistics are important because you want to be telling a story. I teach that. When we sit down and we actually role play on site with your sales team, what I do is I say, tell me your web story. And they look at me, what are you talking about? Tell me your web story. Yeah, tell me your web story. Tell me your online story. Tell me your multimedia story. And they really don't have one. You use statistics, guys, to be able to weave together a very specific and a very perfect multimedia or online story. Now, it's important for us, though, to understand that we do need to watch out because the sky may be falling. Because we are print readers, and they're here, and we hope that they continue to grow, okay? We all do. And we've got our tablet readers, and they're here, just like you see in this graph, okay? And they're rising at a fast pace as well. If we accurately educate our advertisers that both of these readers are equally important, then advertisers are going to begin to ask us, hey, wait a minute, why is it that you're charging me so much for the tablet? You used to give it away for free. I can't reiterate it enough. You have to, as leaders within your organizations, talk about tablet readers and print readers in exactly the same fashion. They are the same person. Well, they may not be the exact same person, but they are the same demographic, and they are equally important. If you don't believe that, I'm here today to tell you that unfortunately you're wrong, because the statistics that we just showed very accurately demonstrate to us, that readers on the tableted versions are actually quite sophisticated and quite engaged. Now, what you're also going to find, though, in these tableted readers is you're actually going to find new people. One of the things that's interesting to me is the number of new subscribers that my customers pick up. See, there is this misconception, okay, a misconception that, oh gosh, the more people I put on the tablet, the less that I'm going to have to print. That's not actually what I'm seeing. What I'm actually seeing is steady or continuous growth on the print side of the business. I'm also actually seeing consistent and steady growth on the tablet side of the business from new readers. What we're not seeing is a lot of transition. Oh, these people are coming from print and they're going over to tablets. We're not really seeing that. What we're seeing, we might down the road, but what we're really seeing is new people are reading it. Think about yourself, okay? You got a Kindle Fire or a Nook for your birthday. What is it that you do? What things that you do? Well, I know the first thing I did is I went on, and just because of who I am, I went and found, hey, what magazines can I get on this thing? Or what apps can I get on it? Or what games can I play? And so I started looking through the device and trying to find those things. I subscribe to 3 magazines that I don't actually currently subscribe to at all in their printed format. So what happened to that publisher, okay, let's just say of Success Magazine, is magazines I read. And by the way, I highly recommend Success Magazine. I think it's great. I actually did get their printed magazine. I actually paid for the tableted version, so when I'm traveling, I have it on my tablet. So they got me double. They got me a double whammy from me. But if I hadn't been subscribing to Success, is that it would have been a new subscriber. So I don't want any of you to think that, oh gosh, the tablet is going to replace print. I don't think that we're seeing that happen. I think we're seeing a little bit of transition, but what we're really seeing now is new subscribers. Now I think down the road we may see some transition and some people swap. But it's so important for us to understand that if the sky is going to fall, we want to make sure we have a very strong structure. And so that means retraining our staff to vet both readers in an equal way. Now, one of the solutions that I really like, and I'm not offering a paid endorsement, I'm just giving you, some food for thought. I want to look for a solution from a tablet provider that's going to give me access to almost all platforms. And one of the people recently that I met is a Canadian company called Uberflip, and the name is there on the screen. And the reason I recommend this person here, Audrey, is because just like me, she'll actually get on the phone without selling you anything and talk you through the various ideas and solutions that are out there. Flip allows you to upload one PDF from your printer and allows you to have a version available in iPad, iPhone, and Android format, in web format, wham, just like that with one click. So as you're thinking about platforms, what you want to always be asking that provider is, hey, are you a cross-platform, or for lack of the perfect term, platform agnostic, which is actually not the exact right term, but are you a cross-platform provider? Now, in terms of action items, for this conversation, the first thing is we need to restructure your one sheets for your sales team. You make sure that there's a lot of value that's placed on the advertiser's inclusion in your tablet version. And the moment that you begin to put free or zero or value added is the moment that you really are going to lose out. It's very, very important for all of you to understand that you have to put a ton of value on those readers, a ton of value. Now, if you don't have a lot of tablet readers, it doesn't matter. You still need to put a ton of value on it, or at least that your sales team is talking about those readers in equal fashion to your print readers. You need to review all you do on the various tablets and cell phones, etc. Now, do you know how many people actually visit your website via their mobile phone? Do you know that? If you don't, shame on you. You should know that. You should know how many people are browsing your website using Internet Explorer, because one of the things you might find is that Internet Explorer is actually third in a lot of cases. First is Chrome, Google's Chrome browser. Then what you hear is you're going to hear Firefox and then Internet Explorer, and Safari is way down the list. If you know that, it's important to understand because many times something will work fine in Internet Explorer, but it won't in Firefox. Now, what I have found is that most things work in Chrome, but it's really interesting, and it's an interesting point of note, that many things on many of your websites do not work on a device. Things do not work on an iPad or a tablet. And so how many potential users, readers, business partners, strategic partners, again, advertisers, are you missing out on because you've not cross-platform checked everything that you do? Is an iPad so expensive that you shouldn't have one for your staff? I say no. Go out and spend the $4.99 so that your sales team can actually show your tablet version to advertisers. Review all you do. Do you have an app? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the circumstance that I think it may be very beneficial for you to explore the opportunities available through the Apple Newsstand. But do you have to be on the Apple Newsstand to be a success? At this point in time, I would say for most of you watching, the answer is no. But you need to make sure that you are available, that your tablet version is available on the iPhone and all the iOS devices, the iPhone and the iPad, as well as the iPod Touch is not in as much use as it once was. Now, do you need an app to grow your business? The only way I would actually consider creating an app is if you have a purpose. You always want to create an app for some type of task. So if all you're doing is creating an app so that someone can view the magazine, you might want to ask yourself, okay, exactly why are we doing this, and then how are we going to make our back? So the answer is sort of yes and no, depending on your circumstance. Now, those of you in the B2B space, don't just write off an app because you say, no one in the B2B space they're all on BlackBerries. Well, that's not necessarily the case. All right, so you may want to rethink that or reach out for some more information. What about the Kindle and the Nook? Well, both of these devices, to the best of my understanding, run on the Android operating system. The Kindle runs on the gingerbread version, I believe. I think that the black and white Nook actually runs on Linux. The Nook is another Android platform. Do you own both of these devices? Does someone in your family have one of each? Most people have not even heard of the Nook in a lot of cases. The Nook allows you access to the Barnes & Noble store, which is over 2 million some titles. The Kindle is directly connected to Amazon, which is just over 1.5 million titles. Do you know that Barnes & Noble actually had more access to more things? I didn't realize that until we actually bought a Nook fairly recently. So what does your website look in the Nook or the Kindle browser? I know you would have to take a look and make sure that it actually works correctly. Also, you want to ask yourself this question, okay, how do I get my magazine in the Amazon store, and how do I get my magazine onto the newsstand at Barnes & Noble in a digital way? Well, there are solution providers out there. What I learned through the statistics today is that 40% of tablet users are going to access your publication via your web browser anyway. So that's something for you to, consider before you go to the expense of trying to get into the Barnes & Noble or Amazon store. The point is this. is that a tablet is a magazine. You need to ask yourself, what are we going to do and how are we going to structure our business sales organization to take full advantage of the tablet? The last thing I want to leave you with is what I just explained a couple minutes ago. I think it's so important for me to reiterate this. You must train your sales team. You must train your editorial team. You must begin to train your thought process to this end. The tablet reader is a reader, just like a printed reader. Well, I don't see the printed word going away for a very, very long time. I do see a very fast shift of many people over to tablets, especially new subscribers to magazines within the B2B and consumer space. So I really would caution you not to ignore, not to wait. Now, you don't have to get so deep in bed with one technology that you can't switch, but you do need to make sure that your multimedia enterprise is well represented on tablets and the sales team is accurately trained to make, even if you only have 5 readers via a tablet, that all 5 of those readers are seen by an advertiser as something very, very important to reach. If you don't, sky falls, you're going to see a very, very bad thing happen, and that advertisers, if they're not educated correctly, will think of a tablet user the same way they think of a web user. And guess what that means, guys? That means instead of charging $1,000 for a print ad or for a tablet ad, banner ad prices of maybe 25 cents $1,000. So if you want to preserve your business, there's 2 things to remember. 1, print is not dead. 2, tablets are print. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar today. And questions for me, I'm more than happy to entertain all those questions. Feel free to send those via Twitter to Ryan Dohrn. It's just @RyanDohrn. Feel free to send me questions, ryan@ryandohrn.com. And guys, please don't forget, as a partner of Shweiki, everything that I do for you, including on-site sales training, you get a 25% discount. So I'd love to come on site and work with your team or get on the phone and talk through some of these issues as well. On behalf of Shweiki Media, thank you so much for being a part of this webinar today. And again, if you have any questions, fire them over to me. I'm happy to answer them for you absolutely free of charge. Take care. Hope it was helpful, and let us know your feedback. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.